Not you it. But the pathe is now the opinion to you. Humanity, he has EARNED the right to know it is not alone, and date its actions, have CONCUENC is, beyond your world. A new point of light appeared on the galactic map, Earth, pulsing with potential. What happens next is your choice. QOLECTIVELY. I while or emain in tiontaked. Ain't to be or in QUESTIONS. OVFFE or NGGUIDNC. Wo in where QUESTD. But the decisions must be yours. That's all. Elena couldn't hide her surprise. No grand technology transfer, no invitation to join some interstellar federation. What followed might have been a chuckle, though it was hard to tell with Methwan's otherworldly voice. Those who rush to the Sateras often bring their PLA and ETVOUND PROBLEMs with them. Better to raise the soul of ye your into your nailed sion and FLICTs, beef of or in KONT rang o theirs. Besides, the most valuable GFT, I can OFFER is not technology, but pure perspective. They know LEG, that you are a part of something larger. That your choice is made to your on a cosmic scale. Elena considered this, so we're still being tested. All life is a continuous test. Elena VGA, what MATTERs, is not passing or failing, but learning and growing. Humanity HA is showing me it can learn. Now we shall see if it can grow. 1 year later, Elena stood on the observation platform of the newly established Methwan Institute for Cosmic Studies. Below her, researchers from every nation worked together, sharing discoveries openly with the world. The quantum gravitational technology had already transformed energy production in dozens of countries, with environmental recovery programs showing promising early results. Military applications had not disappeared entirely. Human nature hadn't changed overnight, but global oversight mechanisms had evolved with unprecedented cooperation. The shared knowledge that Earth was being observed by ancient cosmic intelligences had shifted humanity's perspective in subtle but profound ways. Elena's communication device chimed, indicating a message from Methwan. These had become less frequent over time, as the entity encouraged humanity to find its own path. She opened the message. The AARCQRUS civilization, REQUST is CONTACT with Earth. They are young, like UAVU or CLVs, only till anti-1,000 years, nor ADVANCT. They be live your unique creative pure respectively. May he LP so LVACHALLENG, they are face. This is union usual. Most Ninilu species are recivers of gain and ODODULEGE for MILLENIA. B if or BC lobnowing QON to ribute yours. Humanity's rapid adaptation, QONTINU is, to surprise even me. Elena smiled, imagining the possibilities ahead. The universe was vaster and more complex than humanity had ever dreamed, filled with ancient intelligences and young civilizations alike. And somehow, against all odds, Earth had earned its place in this cosmic conversation, not through military might or technological supremacy, but through its capacity for collaboration, creativity, and change. Tell the Arcturans we would be honored to help, she replied. Humanity is ready for a dialogue. That's no longer your concern, Rise replied. The coalition of governments has determined that all communication with the entity will now be handled by military specialists trained in negotiation and information extraction. Information extraction? Elena echoed incredulously. You're talking about an entity older than our species, possibly older than our planet. You can't interrogate it like some captured spy. The general's expression hardened. Dr. Vega, you've allowed your personal fascination with this entity to cloud your judgment about national security. Now step aside, or we'll remove you. Elena looked from the general to the quantum array, which had begun to pulse with an unusual rhythm. Something was happening, something beyond any of their control. You have your choice. Methwan's voice boomed, louder than ever before. Now witness the Sion and CQENCs. The array erupted in brilliant light, temporarily blinding everyone in the room. When Elena's vision cleared, she gasped. The holographic display had expanded to fill the entire chamber, showing not technical diagrams, but images from around the world. Everywhere, electronic devices, televisions, computers, phones, billboards were displaying the same message. Attention people of Earth. I am METHUON, an entity from beyond your sister system. Your governments have ATTMPTD to WWEA pilgenize knowledge. ISHARED is ATES of your species readiness. Now, IADDRES all humans directly. The choice before you is simple. Cooperation or competition. Creation or destruction. The path you coalescity. Choose WLDET or mine. He or the you are among the stars. Following this message, detailed information about the quantum gravitational principles began streaming to every connected device on the planet. But it wasn't just the raw technical data. It included warnings about military applications, detailed plans for sustainable energy implementation, and ethical frameworks for managing transformative technology. The facility erupted in chaos. Government officials shouted orders that no one followed. Military personnel tried unsuccessfully to shut down the quantum array. What have you done? General Rice demanded, rounding on Elena. Not me, Elena replied, watching the worldwide broadcast in awe. Methuen has removed the middleman. It's giving all of humanity the chance to participate in the trial. Over the following weeks, the world experienced unprecedented upheaval. Governments attempted to suppress the information, claiming national security concerns, but it was too late. The knowledge had spread too widely, been copied too many times, been understood by too many brilliant minds working outside traditional power structures. What emerged from the chaos wasn't the military confrontation many had feared, but something more remarkable. Independent scientists and engineers worldwide began collaborating across borders, developing the energy applications while deliberately avoiding weaponization. Community-based initiatives sprang up to implement small-scale versions of the technology, providing power to regions long neglected by central authorities. Not everyone embraced this approach. Several nations accelerated weapons development programs, prompting international condemnation and economic sanctions. Corporate interests attempted to patent and control aspects of the technology, but the open-source nature of Methwen's global distribution made monopolization impossible. 3 months after what became known as the Methuen disclosure, Elena stood once again before the quantum array. The military presence had gradually withdrawn, replaced by an international scientific consortium, operating with unprecedented transparency. You took an enormous risk, she said to the entity. Exposing that knowledge to everyone could have led to chaos, maybe even global conflict. The risk was necessary, Methuen replied. Throughout the galaxy, I have observed K8 species who concentrate power inevitably destroy themselves. Only those who distribute knowledge and decision-making survive their technological adolescence. And have we passed the test? Elena asked, voicing the question that had haunted her for months. Tests are rarely like PASSED or FAILED, ABDAS OLUKIL. Elena VGA. Your species Ahis dinamonets turat vibuti HFY inning kapacity for self-destruction, and remarkable puti entail for cooperation. What DSTNGICs, humans is not your technology or your intelligence, but your diversity of perspective and your capacity for rapid adaptation. The quantum array shifted, displaying a spectacular visualization of the Milky Way galaxy. Scattered throughout were pulsing points of light. These ERETA civilizations QURENTLYP or participating in the galactic community, Methuen explained. Some are billions of years old, others millennia, beyond your current development. All AKVHPSSED through trials, similar to yours. And now we join them. Elena asked. Wait, Elena interjected. Don't you understand what's happening here? This isn't just free technology. It's a test of our ethics, our priorities as a species. Ethics won't defend our nations if others get this technology first, countered a representative from another government. We need to secure this information immediately. As arguments erupted around the room, Elena noticed something odd about the holographic diagram. While everyone focused on its content, she saw that the structure itself was changing, evolving into greater complexity with each passing second. This wasn't just a static blueprint, it was a living demonstration of principles beyond human understanding. Methuen, she said quietly, stepping closer to the array. This knowledge, it's not complete, is it? Perceipitiv, Elena VGA. What you see is a fragment, a CED that requires QLTIVation. How you choose to nurture it, while DET or mine what Giguros from it. Military technicians had begun downloading the displayed information, their expressions triumphant. Elena felt a sense of dread. They didn't understand. They were treating this like stolen intelligence rather than a test of character. Over the next 3 days, the facility transformed into an international research center. Top scientists from around the world were flown in to decipher Methuen's gift. Military presence increased dramatically, with armed guards stationed at every entrance. Communications with the outside world were strictly controlled. Elena found herself simultaneously revered as the original contact with Methuen and increasingly sidelined as government specialists took over. The entity continued to communicate but had become more cryptic, offering philosophical observations rather than technical details. Late one night, as Elena worked alone in her makeshift office, Dr. Tanaka slipped inside and closed the door. They're weaponizing it, he whispered without preamble. 3 countries have already begun prototype development based on the quantum principles Methuen shared. Elena closed her eyes, unsurprised but disappointed. How long before they have working models? Weeks, not months. The technology it's revolutionary, Elena. It makes nuclear weapons look like stone tools. And clean energy applications. Tanaka's expression darkened. Secondary priority. They're planning energy development only after military applications are secured. Elena nodded slowly. Then we're failing the test. She made her way to the communication chamber, using her original credentials to bypass security. The room was empty save for the quantum array, which hummed quietly in the center. Methuen, she called softly. I need to speak with you. The familiar voice filled the room instantly. I have been waiting, Elena VGA. The patrons of human RESPONSE are UNFOLDING as they have for many species, or you. They're weaponizing your knowledge, she said plainly. Militaries are taking priority over solving our energy crisis or environmental collapse. This is not even expected. Fear drides many young species to seek security through strength. It is a natural, if in favor to an at, evolutionary or response. Belina paced the room. But it's not everyone. Millions of humans would choose differently if given the chance. We're not a monolith. We're billions of individuals with different values and priorities. Yet decisions are made by those who control your power structures, Methuen observed. This too is common among developing species. There has to be another way, Alina insisted. You said this was a test, but you're not giving humanity a fair chance to demonstrate its best qualities. For the first time since their communications began, Methuen fell silent for a long moment before responding. You suggest an alt or an approach to the trial. Yes, Alina said, an idea forming rapidly. Instead of giving knowledge to governments and militaries to fight over, share it directly with all of humanity. Let everyone see what you've offered, and let everyone participate in deciding how it's used. Such an action would signify and disruption to your existing power structures. Maybe that's exactly what we need. Alina replied, if this is truly a test of humanity's readiness, then test all of humanity, not just those who happened to be in power when you arrived. Another long pause followed. Your proposal has right. Alina VGA. It is unusual. Few representatives of TSTD species have distributing power rather than QNC into rating it. Before Alina could respond, the door burst open. General Rise entered, flanked by armed soldiers. Dr. Vega, you're in violation of security protocols, the general stated coldly. Step away from the communication array immediately. Alina stood her ground. General, we're making a terrible mistake. Methuen isn't a technology to be exploited. It's an intelligence testing our worthiness for advanced knowledge. Many humans are afraid of you, Methuen. They fear what your presence means for our independence, our religions, our sense of uniqueness. This is natural, the entity replied, its voice somehow gentler than usual. The air of the unknown is DEPLAEMBDDED in your EVOLUVIONNARE TSIC It is SERVD your species, well as ASURVIVAL me CHANism. But now it may hinder your growth. What exactly do you want from us? Alina asked, voicing the question that had been nagging at her for weeks. The response came after an uncharacteristic pause. I want to DETRINITY if you are ready. Ready for what? To join the community of conscious beings who HAVTRANCENTED their biological and technological limitations. To be means something more than CURRENTLYR. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. And if we're not ready, then I will continue to observe, as I have for Nilenia. But BAWR, Alina VG, other entities observe your world as well. Not all are as patient or as benevolent as I am. Before Alina could press for clarification, alarms blared throughout the facility. Security personnel rushed into the communication chamber. Dr. Vega, we need to evacuate immediately, the security chief announced. We've received intelligence that multiple countries are deploying military assets to this location. They want control of the communication array. Alina looked at the quantum entanglement device, the fragile link to Methuen. We can't leave. If they seize this equipment, if they try to weaponize this connection, I understand your CERN. Elena VJ, Meth1's voice interrupted. The time is to HCCL hour dialog. Your species must know who if AC its first trial. The lights in the facility flickered, and the quantum array began to pulse with an otherworldly glow. "What's happening?" demanded the security chief. Elena stared at the equipment in awe. "I think," she said slowly, "Meth1 has just taken matters into its own hands." The trial of humanity. The quantum array pulsed with increasing intensity, bathing the room in ethereal blue light. Security personnel backed away, hands hovering over their weapons. Outside, the distant sound of helicopter rotors grew louder. "Everyone stay calm," Elena said, though her own heart was racing. She approached the array, which now projected a field of energy that seemed to bend the light around it. "Meth1, what is this trial you mentioned?" The entity's voice resonated through the chamber, but something had changed. It now carried emotional inflections that had been absent before. "All species or each a moment of choice, Elena VGA. A point where they must demonstrate their true nature. Your kind is divided between curiosity and fear, between cooperation and domination. The actions taken today, while reveal which humanity as prepared to follow." The facility's director burst into the room, followed by representatives from several governments. "Dr. Vega, step away from that equipment," he ordered. By international agreement, control of the Meth1 communication is being transferred to a multinational military oversight committee. Elena stood her ground. "Meth1 isn't just some radio signal we can redirect at will. This is a conscious entity, possibly the oldest conscious entity in our galaxy. We can't treat this like a weapon to be controlled." "That's precisely the problem," said a stern-faced woman in a military uniform, whom Elena recognized as General Patricia Reyes of the United Nations Space Command. "We cannot allow a single scientist, or even a group of scientists, to speak for all of humanity in matters of this importance." "I am AWARE of York CO and CERNs. Meth1 interrupted. "Your desire to protect to your species is co-inevitable, though your methods are questionable." The general startled, clearly not expecting direct address from the entity. "The trial I propose is simple. I will share knowledge that could teach your civilization. How you use this knowledge while det your mind FURTG interaction as warranted." Before anyone could respond, the quantum array projected a complex holographic diagram into the center of the room. It depicted molecular structures and energy flow patterns unlike anything Elena had ever seen. "These are the principles of quantum gravitational manipulation," Meth1 explained. "With this knowledge, you can create killing energy in virtually unlimited quantities. You can also, should you choose, create weapons capable of destroying your planet." The room fell silent as everyone stared at the floating diagram. It represented exactly what governments around the world had hoped for: advanced technology that could solve humanity's energy crisis and provide military superiority. Yet Meth1 had just made it clear that this gift came with a test of intention. General Reyes recovered first. "Secure that data," she ordered her technicians. "Download everything." "The signal is being received simultaneously by observatories on 6 continents," Elena replied. "Unless you believe that hundreds of the world's top astronomers and their equipment have all been compromised in exactly the same way, this is real." The next month passed in a blur of activity. A global task force was formed, combining the expertise of linguists, mathematicians, physicists, and engineers. They worked tirelessly to construct a communication array according to Methwen's specifications. The device was surprisingly simple in concept, a quantum entanglement transmitter that operated outside normal electromagnetic constraints, yet it required materials and configurations that pushed the boundaries of human technology. Elena worked alongside the engineering team, translating Methwen's increasingly detailed instructions. Each night, she returned to her temporary quarters exhausted but too wired to sleep. The entity's knowledge of quantum mechanics and space-time was centuries beyond current human understanding. Even more unnerving was its apparent familiarity with Earth and human history. The day the communication array was finally activated, Elena stood in the control room, surrounded by representatives from the world's major powers. The air was thick with tension and expectation. "System online," announced the lead engineer. "Quantum entanglement stabilized." Elena took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. "Methwen, this is Dr. Elena Vega representing Earth. We have established the communication link as instructed. Can you hear us?" For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, the room filled with a voice, neither male nor female, neither young nor old, that seemed to emanate from everywhere at once. "I hear you, Elena VGA of Earth. Your species is progressed as anticipated. This pleases me." Several officials flinched at the sound. Elena forced herself to remain calm. "May I ask what you are, and what your interest is in our world?" "Your language has no words for I am. In your MITs, you might call me a god. This is inaccurate, but if you all sufficient. I am a cionensius that ahs exadis and cbfo were your cun ignited. I avutc Calvin civilizations rise and fal across this galaxy. And why contact us now?" Elena asked. "Because you stand at a crossoides. Your species has developed technology capable of self-destruction, yet also shows potential for tyrannicity and DNC. I have VNED at similar geometries for millions of your years." The implications of Methwen's words sank in slowly. An ancient entity, claiming to have observed and influenced the development of countless civilizations across the galaxy. It challenged everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the universe. Over the following weeks, communications with Methwen continued. The entity answered thousands of questions about cosmic history, physics, and its own nature, though always with certain limitations. When asked about technologies that might advance human weaponry or energy production too quickly, it politely declined to answer, stating only that knowledge must be earned at an appropriate pace. What Methwen seemed most interested in was human culture, art, music, literature, philosophy. It requested extensive samples of creativity from throughout human history and across all cultures. Elena found herself acting as a curator, selecting works that showcased humanity's depth, complexity, and potential. Your species, is bothwati, you and uses you al passion. Methwen observed after absorbing thousands of years of human artistic expression. This is rare and valuable. Most intelligent species focus solely on technological advancement and resource acquisition. Is that why you've been watching us?" Elena asked during one of their conversations. "Because we're different. Partially. You are also dangerous to yourselves and potentially to others. Your CA for both creation and destruction. XCEDs they of most species at yours TAG of develop manient. While Elena and her scientific colleagues developed a rapport with the cosmic entity, the world's governments reacted with a mixture of wonder, fear, and opportunism. National security councils met in emergency sessions. Military leaders drafted contingency plans for what they euphemistically termed entity containment scenarios. Religious organizations proclaimed everything from the second coming to the end times. The public response was equally divided. Millions were inspired by humanity's first contact with an intelligence greater than its own. Others protested what they saw as a threat to human autonomy or religious beliefs. Small communities of Methodists emerged, viewing the entity as a spiritual guide for humanity's next evolutionary step. During a private communication session, now a daily occurrence, Elena voiced her concerns about these developments. The cosmic signal. The Atacama Desert stretched endlessly around the observatory, a desolate landscape of rust-colored earth and stone beneath a sky so clear it seemed almost artificial. Dr. Elena Vega loved it here. 3 years ago, she had left behind a prestigious position at MIT to join the international team at the Atacama Large Millimeter Array, seeking the silence and clarity that only came with extreme isolation. Tonight, the stars seemed particularly bright as Elena made her way across the compound to the main facility. The air was cold and thin at this altitude, but she had long since acclimated to it. What she hadn't acclimated to was the persistent feeling that they were missing something big. Another late night, Dr. Vega. The security guard smiled as she scanned her badge. The universe doesn't sleep, Matteo, so neither do I. She returned his smile and continued to her workstation, where multiple screens displayed data from the array's 66 radio antennas. Elena had been monitoring a specific region of deep space for months now. Initial scans had revealed unusual radiation patterns that didn't match anything in their extensive catalogs. Most of her colleagues had dismissed it as instrumental error or background noise, but Elena knew better. There was a pattern there, faint, yes, but unmistakable. She settled into her chair and pulled up the latest readings. For a moment, she stared at the screen, not quite processing what she was seeing. The signal had changed. No longer faint, it now pulsed with a clarity that made her heart race. "That's impossible," she whispered to herself, fingers flying across the keyboard to run diagnostics. The equipment was functioning normally. This was real. Elena reached for her phone and dialed her supervisor, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka. "Hiroshi, you need to see this. Now." Within an hour, the quiet observation room had transformed into a hub of frantic activity. Researchers huddled around monitors, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. Dr. Tanaka stood beside Elena, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the main screen. "It's structured," Elena explained, pointing to the repeating patterns in the signal. "These aren't random bursts. This is language." "From where?" Tanaka asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Elena pulled up the celestial coordinates. "That's the thing. It's coming from a region of space that should be empty. No stars, no planets, nothing but the void between galaxies." Dr. Claudia Meyer, the facility's senior astronomer, joined them. Could it be a previously undetected neutron star? A black hole merger? Elena shook her head. "The signature doesn't match anything we've ever recorded. And look at this periodicity. It's too perfect, too intentional." The three scientists fell silent, each contemplating the implications of what they were witnessing. "We need to inform the International Astronomical Union," Tanaka finally said, "and prepare for a lot of attention." By morning, news of the anomalous signal had spread through the scientific community like wildfire. Within days, observatories across the globe had redirected their instruments toward the coordinates Elena had identified. The signal remained, growing stronger and more complex with each passing hour. 2 weeks later, Alina found herself addressing a hastily assembled panel of international experts at the United Nations office in Geneva. The chamber was filled with scientists, government officials, and military personnel from 24 countries. "We've continued to analyze the signal," Alina explained, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "It contains mathematical sequences that couldn't possibly occur naturally. Prime numbers, the value of pi to hundreds of decimal places, and other universal constants. This is, without question, an artificially generated transmission." A murmur swept through the room. "Are you suggesting extraterrestrial intelligence, Dr. Vega?" asked a representative from Russia's space agency. "I'm suggesting we're receiving a message," Alina replied carefully. "One that appears to be specifically directed at Earth." The assembly erupted in questions. Alina raised her hands for quiet. "There's more. 3 days ago, the signal changed again. It began transmitting in binary code, a simple system that could be deciphered by any technologically advanced civilization. We've started to translate it." She nodded to her colleague, Dr. Marcus Chen, who projected a series of translated text fragments onto the main screen. "Attention Earth civilization. IAMMETH IHVOBSSERV your DVELOP manianti for 12,000 of your years. The time for dialogues arrived." The silence that followed was absolute. "We've received several more transmissions since then," Alina continued. "The entity, Methuan, has provided instructions for establishing two-way communication. And you're certain this isn't some elaborate hoax?" asked a skeptical American general.